I want to be a Gilmore.
Guess who's back? Back again.
The Gilmore Girls, because it's season 2, baby. This edit may be slightly different than my other videos because WBTV have decided to try and come and end my life. They don't love me using clips from the Gilmore Girls. So I've had to get a little bit more creative about how I get around any potential issues. So without further ado, let's just get straight into the messy recap. Luke starts fixing everything in Lorelai Gilmore's house to avoid Rachel, clearly because he's in love with Lorelai. Rory confesses to Lane that she still has feelings for Dean, but ignores all of Lane's problems. She tries to find Dean at daisies, but gets profiled by Taylor instead. In a desperate role reversal, Rory stalks Dean and knocks on his door and then flees, leaving Dean's little sister traumatized. At the town meeting, the town troubadour is pissed because another guy is trying to compete with him. Rory gets up and makes an impassioned speech that helps out the town troubadour, but ultimately the speech was about Dean. Rachel is leaving, but only because she knows that Luke is in love with Lorelai. Luke goes round to talk to Lorelai, but she's busy getting ready for her date with Max, who turns up during their conversation. The two dudes have an awkward bro-off. Luke leaves. Lorelai and Max have an argument about what they each did when they weren't together, and Max proposes. With no ring, no bended knee, nada.
Wait a damn minute.
Then the next day he sends 1,000 yellow daisies and proposes again over the phone and is left waiting on Lorelai's answer. Okay, so remember the 1,000 yellow daisies that Max used to propose to Lorelai with? Well, they are dotted all the way around Stars Hollow and it is a lot. Literally a lot, because as somebody pointed out, there is no way that this is 1,000 yellow daisies.
Lies! There you go.
The math ain't mathing. Also, may I remind you, he is on a professor's salary at Chiltern and he has good money to spend on this many flowers. As a former lecturer myself, it ain't happening. Okay, just one more thing. Would everyone in Stars Hollow be that up for having the yellow daisies? I mean, putting it on your car. Can you see out of the windscreen? When the episode started, I honestly thought it was a fever dream that Lorelai was having. So Rory and Lorelai are discussing where she should get married, how she should get married, and Miss Lorelai Gilmore has not made up her mind. So season 2 Lorelai is the same indecisive bitch as season 1 Lorelai. Gotcha.
There's nothing out here that has changed. If anything, it went from worse to worse, sir.
So Rory heads over to Lane's and Lane is having a heated discussion with Mrs. Kim. Now, season 2 Rory actually wants to know what's going on in Lane's life for non-selfish reasons. So Mr. and Mrs. Kim, the former of whom we have never seen, perhaps we will in season 2, are sending Lane to Korea on a one-way ticket. She is understandably freaking out and Rory is trying to calm her down, but then...
Wow, I'm really gonna miss you.
Okay, new Stars Hollow character unlocked, because who the f*** is this random guy?
I hate to say it, I hope I don't sound ridiculous. I don't know who this man is. I mean, he could be walking down the street, I wouldn't know a thing. Sorry to this man.
Apparently he runs the newsstands and Lorelai looks horrified at all the bridal magazines. But then a few seconds later, she appears to calm herself down and she seems like she's actually getting used to the idea.
Girl, goodbye.
I cannot keep up with what this woman wants. So Miss Patty turns up with her nosy self and wants to know whether Lorelai has accepted the proposal yet. News really does travel fast in Stars Hollow. She warns Lorelai to be gentle with Luke when she's telling him. So that means every single Stars Hollow resident seems to know that Luke is in love with Lorelai, apart from Lorelai. Gotcha. Side note, I need Lorelai's t-shirt immediately. So the next thing that happens is honestly insanity. The entirety of Stars Hollow follow behind Lorelai to watch her go to the diner to tell Luke about the proposal. They are acting like Lorelai is Jesus of Nazareth and they are the 5,000 waiting to be fed. It also reads like a game of red light, green light from Squid Game.
Green light. Red light. Green light.
So Lorelai and Rory reach the safety of the diner and outside the diner is looking like the zombie apocalypse. These people are on a feeding frenzy. Where is your job? So Rory finally says to Lorelai, the reason that people are so invested is because literally every single person knows that Luke has a thing for Lorelai. But Lorelai is still intent on playing her silly little games and she's like, no, he doesn't. Oh my God, I don't know what you mean. Like, he literally doesn't. He literally doesn't like me. Like, what do you mean?
Girl.
So she approaches Luke at the counter and it turns out after all that, the man already knows. He figured it out because he's smart, hot, kind, and someone Lorelai doesn't deserve. Anyway, Luke encourages Lorelai to say yes to the proposal. And honestly, at this point, I agree. Free Luke Danes. Free Luke Danes. So he also starts quizzing Lorelai about her plans for the future. And whilst I can admit it is a tad intrusive, does Lorelai know that much about Max Medina?
Nothing! Absolutely nothing!
Luke wishes Lorelai congratulations, and it kind of seems sincere, so clap it up for Luke.
Guess who's back? Back again.
Friday night dinner. I've missed these. So Lorelai is super jumpy, and Emily Gilmore has had a lobotomy.
You're here, Richard, they're here.
It truly disarmed me. Emily physically pushes the Gilmore Girls onto the sofa. Emily is super giddy about something and she cannot wait to tell them what it is. So I'm thinking, is it another fundraiser for fish? Has someone died and left them their timeshare in Palm Springs? No, it's that Richard and Emily have found out that Rory has finished top 3% in her class, and it turns out that Lorelai already knew because Rory told her, because Rory assumed it was going to happen. I want Rory's life.
Yeah, I said it.
Her grandparents want to throw her a party because of this and give her presents. Again, I want to be a Gilmore. I would legit be so good at having family money. I just know it. Give me a twin set and pearls. So at the dinner, Lorelai goes and calls Max and immediately starts having one of her freakouts because of what Luke said to her. But Max realizes that because she's having a freakout, this must mean that she's closer to a decision. And I guess she says yes.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Now let's just get a little timeline on this proposal. This all happened within 24 hours. So 1, Max spots that there is some sort of vibe between Lorelai and Luke. 2, Max starts an argument and lets Lorelai know that when they weren't together, he was doing bits. 3, in the middle of said argument, Max proposes with no ring. 4, Lorelai's response to the proposal is that it's ridiculous and that a proposal should include things like 1,000 yellow daisies. 5, the next day Max sends about 100,000 yellow daisies to Lorelai's place of work and proposes over the phone with no ring. 6, Lorelai doesn't want to tell Luke about the proposal even though she claims they are just friends. 7, Lorelai says yes to the proposal over the phone, again with no ring. Wow, and they say romance is dead. Anyway, Emily and Richard are still gloating over the success of their perfect granddaughter and gleefully thinking of all the people that they can piss off with the news that Rory is Einsteining. This from Richard.
William is a lovely boy.
His head is shaped like a football.
It is not.
If he fell asleep in the park, someone would try to punt him.
I couldn't love him more, to be honest. Editing me, this didn't age well. So Lorelai comes in from her phone call and sort of nods at Rory to tell her the good news, but she doesn't share it with Emily and Richard.
Guess who's back? Back again.
Suki! And I really hope she gets to say more than 5 words in this episode. Michelle is there too, weighing his turkey.
Huh? What? Oh. Okay.
He appears to be on some sort of a diet for some bizarre reason. Lorelai comes into the kitchen to share the big news and Michelle leaves. But Suki is obviously ecstatic for her friend. Suki barely knows Max. And I'm sorry, is that not a red flag? The only person who really knows Max in Lorelai's circle is Rory. And that is because he is her teacher. Suki's your best friend. Why haven't you introduced? Why haven't you gone on dinner dates? Anyway, Suki's super happy for them and starts talking about how she's going to do all the catering for the event. And then she starts crying because she's like, I can't believe how well you've done raising Lorelai as a single mother. You did that, girl. You did that. Okay, now as someone who was raised by a single mother, I'm just going to creep on in here for a second. I understand she did raise her on her own, but lest we forget how Lorelai was living before. I'm not saying that Emily and Richard were easy, but she could have gone back to the mansion. Also, she got to live in that potting shed, which honestly looks like a prime bit of real estate to me. But sure. I get the sentiment and it's sweet because Suki is sweet. And Lorelai doesn't deserve her. So now if only Suki could dump Jackson, we would be all good.
Guess who's back? Back again.
I shouldn't have mentioned Jackson's name because evidently it's like saying Beetlejuice 3 times in the mirror. But here he appears again with another great ensemble. Okay, I don't hate the shirt, but... So they break the news about the proposal to Jackson and he does not seem happy about it. In fact, he kind of freaks out and I guess it's because it feels like pressure to him because he hasn't put a ring on Suki. And honestly, thank God. So Rory calls up Lane and apparently Lane is still on track to be moving to Korea forever.
Forever, ever, forever, ever.
Mrs. Kim does seem unusually chirpy, and it is disturbing. So Max calls up Rory at the house and he wants to speak to her about rings because he's finally realised that in order to propose, you do need a ring. I mean, not necessarily, but that is commonplace. And he wants her advice on it. Of course, the Gilmore Girls can't help themselves, and Rory practically puts Lorelai on speakerphone so that she can hear what he's saying. So he describes 3 different rings, and Lorelai basically chooses her own ring.
I think you're a sick woman. To do something like that is sick.
Guess who's back? Back again.
Dean. Wow, we've really started this season off with a bang. First, Lorelai accepting Max's proposal, then Jackson, and now Dean is clearly back with Rory.
Well, I didn't really want to be here.
Is the show trying to finish me off for real? Anyway, it's movie night at the Gilmore Girls' house. Lorelai does manage to get Dean to do some manual labour around the house, so at least he's earning his keep. So Rory wants to invite Dean to the little soiree that Emily is throwing for her, and he doesn't seem particularly thrilled. What's new there? To be fair, he's nervous because obviously the last time he encountered Emily Gilmore, he had fallen asleep with Rory at Miss Patty's dance studio. So he knows that Emily's not going to be his biggest fan. Another day, another Kim Jun slay. Emily does not seem thrilled to see Dean, and honestly, who can blame her? It's Dean. But Lorelai manages to relieve the tension by making a joke about the fact that Dean wants a beer. And soon all the Gilmore Girls are teasing him and they're kind of getting a little bit comfortable. And then Richard Gilmore walks in and it is hella uncomfortable. Dean goes to shake Richard Gilmore's hand and Richard is like, no, thank you.
The time.
I love you so much.
Oh, thanks.
Can I give you a hug?
No, thanks.
Please?
No, thanks.
A little one.
Yeah, no, thanks.
And awkward it remains. Richard can barely eat his food at the sight of Dean. And honestly, I've been there. Anyway, Emily gives Rory her gift and it is a pen. Okay, Rory can keep that. I'd rather the cash. She does, however, deliver on dessert, Rory's favourite, Twinkies. I've never had a Twinkie. What is a Twinkie? What are they like? So Richard finally turns his attention to Dean and starts grilling him about his future plans. It turns out that Dean is not good enough for their precious little top 3% granddaughter. I have to admit, it's a bit much. The boy's like 16 or 17. Allow him. I don't even know what I want to do tomorrow, let alone have a 5-year plan. And now I see why Lorelai left. What the hell has happened to season 2 Richard?
God damn it!
So the Gilmore Girls leave and you can tell that Dean feels like shit. And to his credit, he kind of takes it well. Do my own ears and eyes deceive me? Our whole season has gone by and Dean has potentially matured?
Oh my God! Wow!
He even loses the bass in his voice when he's talking to Rory. He's so mild-mannered that I had to rewind the scene several times to just make sure that I wasn't seeing and hearing things. Rory, on the other hand, has finally realised that her grandpa is a snob. And she starts ranting in the way that Lorelai would rant about her parents. And Lorelai starts playing devil's advocate. She lets Rory know that Richard loves her to pieces and is obviously hoping that Rory's going to turn out to be different than her predecessor, i.e. Lorelai 2.0. Anyway, Lane calls and the suitcase that they are using to send her to Korea. So back at Emily and Richard's, and Richard is ranting and raving about his precious protege, and now Emily is sticking up for Rory.
Child. Anyway, so
we are nearing the end of the episode, but it does get worse. Suki calls Emily because she is planning a wedding shower for Lorelai. Now, Suki, do you not know that Lorelai doesn't f*** with her mother like that? Of course, Emily doesn't even know that Lorelai is engaged.
And
So Emily marches into Richard's office and implores him to call up Rory and apologise. And Richard's like, what do you mean? And she's like, our only daughter, and indeed only child, is getting married and we didn't know about it. And when Rory gets married, she would kind of like to know. I'm going to need season 2 to be less dramatic. We end the episode with Max finally giving Lorelai the ring that she practically picked out for herself. And it turns out it's too big, but Lorelai doesn't want to take it off. She actually seems genuinely happy. But we all know things change fast around here. Rory, you can come up a little because even though you're back with Dean, you do seem like you're being a better friend to Lane. Plus, even though Dean is Dean, I think you did the right thing in standing up for him with your grandparents. Good job. Lorelai, a little growth. You still seem slightly unsure about Max, but you handled Friday night dinner with humour and grace. Emily, girl, stay where you are. You threw an unnecessary party for your granddaughter, were rude to her guests, but you did warm up to Dean quicker than I ever could, and you stuck up for Rory when Richard went off the rails. Richard, come right on down. Luke, you can come up a little. I feel like you could have maybe fought for Lorelai a little bit more, but honestly, you showed Grace, and that's attractive too. Suki, you can come up a bit. It's cute that you're excited for your girl, but girl, you know Lorelai doesn't f with Emily like that. So maybe contacting her to invite her to a surprise shower was not the best move. Dean, this is a momentous occasion, and I cannot quite believe it, but up you come. You appear to have had a lobotomy and have decided to act right this season, helping the Gilmore Girls out, being understanding in the face of insanity from Richard Gilmore. Growth. I wonder how long he stays there. And that is the end of season 2, Gilmore Girls episode 1. It feels like the characters have all had slight rewrites. I'm not mad about it, other than the fact that now I don't know who to be mad at. Anyway, join me next week for more shenanigans. Until then, okay, bye. Now we're on season 2 of Gilmore Girls and I am bamboozled. Subscribe.